Looks. Isn't that beautiful? So what this is I sprayed the hood with the epoxy black, the black epoxy, SPI epoxy primer. Epoxy. And it sprayed horribly because this is my first time spraying, and I can reach to about here on the hood. I can't reach over there without falling over. So get rid of all those problems. I then did a bunch of body filler where I saw all the little dents. Thanks to the epoxy, as you can see, it's pretty glossy. It shows the highlights of the ceiling lights. Then I sanded it all down with a block with only 80 grit. I wanted to see if the epoxy would fill with 80 grit because it filled all the 40 grit sand scratches from the DA, but they're a lot less deep. Where you see all those scratches right there, that was into the actual SPI epoxy. And the trouble is the second time I sprayed it, which is this coat that you see, I thinned it out a bunch. I don't know, I'd say 10-15%. I didn't really measure it, I just thinned it out. And so as a result of it being thinner, it of course has less filling capability, less thinning properties. Perfect time for a phone call. And okay, here's the hood after I've sprayed about 2.5 coats of 2K high build primer. So it's not the epoxy primer, it's just a normal polyurethane build primer. Again, the SPI epoxy, man, I keep saying epoxy, the SPI 2K primer sells as 2K primer, regular build, or high build. Apparently it's the same thing. I think it just comes down to how you thin it. Point is, I put it as high build, and it actually came out almost spackly. So I really bumped up the pressure and then reduced the flow and went a lot slower, and it really changed it. And then the second time I sprayed it, I put a bit of thinner in there just to see how it would go. Anyway, so that's the hood. So you can probably see striping because it's still drying. And I really did a few really quick just passes at the end just to get some extra build. But what I'm really happy to see with this lighting so far is that the majority of the bodywork seemed to be pretty true. Now the trouble is, wow, you can really see striping on the camera. Jeez. Regardless, I don't really care because it's super thick, and you know, if you are 2 inches away, it sprays thick. If you're 3 inches away, it sprays dry. So it's just the nature of the primer. But all the body lines are beautiful. The curvature of the front there, I went on all different angles, and it works. The light flows very, very nicely. And of course, you can see all the body work's hidden very nicely underneath the primer. So I'm pretty happy. What's incredible is how quickly it dries. You hear how rough that is. There. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but I'm kind of scratching into it. I don't really care. There's some junk. You see how thick? Where is this? You see that right there? I think I see it on the camera screen. That right there came out of the gun itself. That's how thick it is. It dries really quickly. Here's pinholes in the bodywork. I wanted to see if the primer would fill it up or not. When I block sand the whole thing, I'll see what's left of these guys. But I don't care. Some glazing putty will take care of that if it survives the block sanding. Now, what's funny is the previous owner, whoever the heck painted it last, had drips. The exact same spot that I have drips. That's the epoxy primer. I didn't even see that. It's so bloody low. But yeah, those drips that drove me crazy. I was like, what kind of idiot sprays so much right there? And then there I am doing the exact same thing. Go figure. But now I'm really happy with how this stuff sprayed. I was able to pour it out of the gallon. What did I use? I used 400, so about 350 milliliters of 2K primer to do 2.5 coats on the hood. That's amazing, seeing that I have a gallon. So I have a heck of a lot more paint. I mean, I could paint this car a couple of times over. It's a 4-to-1. At least I made it 4-to-1. I really got to double check that. But yeah, the hood, it's going to get block sanded next. So there she is. Sanded down the middle, some body work, and then epoxy, and then some more body work, and then epoxy, and then 2.5 coats of primer. It sounds like a lot, but it's still pretty thin. I mean, you can see how thin it is based on the badge here. If you look at those holes. Hell of a lot less paint than there was before. So that's that.